Hey, I didn't notice. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast, coast to coast and border to border on iHeartRadio and also AMFM 247.com. I should have noticed what that young man was trying to get across to us, but I'm too busy getting things ready to go for the Sunday radio broadcast and making Jay Wells laugh like a little schoolgirl on the other side on Skype. It is the Sunday radio show. We are coast to coast and border to border, and we have got a tremendous guest to kick off our big broadcast day. And get Jay some water, somebody. We have got a tremendous guest to kick us off here. John J. Clayton is with us. He is a master storyteller. And when Parkinson's disease descended like a dense fog on John J. Clayton, he was forced to pivot his perspective, change his expectations, and write from a place he calls both alive and alive, like a kind of ghost. And he's got a great book out. It's called Parkinsons Blues, Stories of My Life. And it begins with the arrival of dark, unexpected, and a Monty Python skit. Someone in a drab living room complains about being nagged by questions. And, so, John, tell me and JB here a little bit about your book, my friend.
Well, the book started after I got Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And I found it really hard to think, hard to write, but I sat down at my desk day after day, and then this strange book started. It is a strange book, but in a way, this is not about Parkinson's. It's about everything that wrecks us as human beings. I call it the dark unexpected. The dark unexpected is like a stroke suddenly comes, or you lose a child, or you get Parkinson's, or you get cancer, and that changes your life. I love the Monty Python skit. This is a skit where there's a couple in a living room, a man and a woman, and ordinary living room, and the woman is asking question after question after question of the man, and the guy says, "I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition." And suddenly, Michael Palin. You remember Michael Palin?
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Palin in red 16th century costume bursts into the room. "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition," he shrieks. And nobody expects to suddenly come down with Parkinson's or a stroke. But it's not limited to Parkinson's. It's the existential condition of everyone's life.
Yeah.
I've got no medical advice to offer about Parkinson's, but I think my book talks about the experience of facing this, and honestly, I don't try to hide. There's a place in the book where is it? Okay. Where I say, a minute. We all know the way we're supposed to respond to a sickness such as Parkinson's, so that at the memorial service, a eulogy can say, "He fought his sickness, but he never complained. He was kind and generous. He expressed gratitude for the life given him." I'm not going to lie in order to rate a decent eulogy. I don't want to lie to myself to fake it. And there's nothing brave or noble about getting Parkinson's or dealing with it. But you're forced to face your own mortality, and you're forced to face the things you couldn't do that you could do before that you can't do now, like get up and walk to the John in the middle of the night. It's a strange disease.
We've got John J. Clayton with us today. Parkinsons Blues is the latest from him, and author John J. Clayton joins me and Jay Birdwells today here on the Sunday Radio broadcast. And John has published 9 volumes of fiction novels and short stories. His collection, Interwoven Short Stories, Minion, was published in September 2016. His collection, Many Seconds into the Future, was published in 2014. And Mitzvah Man, his 4th novel, arrived in 2011. And John joins me and Jay today here on the telephone. And so, John, this book, incredibly well written. You've put a lot of time and effort into this book. What's been some feedback you've gotten on this book so far?
It's been really the most successful book I've had. It's a strange book because I talk about the form of the book being digressive. What I mean by digressive is it starts with Parkinson's and then goes to stories about my mother, or about my uncle, or about my father. The way in which the way my mother related to her suffering, and how it became a way that I learned to relate to my own. Some of the book is very funny, and some of the book is sad. Have you ever seen a three-legged dog?
Yes.
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 A dog where
both have.
Yeah. And those animals, they don't whine about their condition. They just have 3 legs. As far as they're concerned, they're not thinking, oh my gosh, look what I've lost. So, part of the worst part of having Parkinson's is when you start beating yourself up for having it. And so I try not to do that. I try to be a 3-legged dog.
That's a very inspirational terminology for it.
Well, thank you.
So, Jay, Jay Birdwells is with us today. Jay, I know you've probably got some questions for John here.
Yeah, John, tell me a little bit about the editing process, because you probably had a little bit more difficulties in typing it up, right?
Yes, I had more difficulties. My fingers shook, and so it was hard to do the work. But the book is the strangest form that I've ever had. It's not a neat little story. It goes from one thing to another, and they don't seem to be connected, and then they are.
Did you have somebody help you do any typing or editing?
No, I did my own. I did it myself, and I've never been on radio before. This is unusual to me.
This is awesome. I'm very proud of what you've been able to accomplish.
Thank you. Let me read you a passage from this, just a little passage.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's from the section called How to Heal Parkinson's. Oh, and here we go. Ladies and gents, don't tell a soul, but fact is, you can't do a hell of a lot about healing Parkinson's. We're so used to making demands on reality when something isn't going right. We don't take no for an answer. Saul Bellow writes somewhere that being bourgeois means figuring out as you slip and fall on a neighbor's icy sidewalk. You're figuring out the insurance money you'll win. But Parkinson's is not like a twisted ankle. No, indeed, ladies and gents, it's not. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fix this. A joke. We speak of illness through the metaphor of war, the battle against cancer. So sorry, you have a health challenge, a friend wrote me. Some challenge, like unarmed slaves challenging wild beasts in the arena. The joke is, while it's foolish to think you're going to beat a sickness like Parkinson's, you're just not going to give up trying. So I like that passage.
You definitely make me remember people I've known that have Parkinson's and have passed away from it. It's not fun.
It's no fun. I've got a great wife, and that's been a big help. Because I've been married now 36 years.
36?
36 to my wife, but she's her most beautiful self is now that she's been such a wonderful help to me in my sickness. The worst part of my sickness is that my brain is sick. Well, I used to be in a reading group. I used to be in a reading group, and I'd have good ideas, and I'd flash them out, and I was proud of that. And now I get into a group like this group we're in right now, the three of us, and I have an idea, but before I can get to express it, the idea flashes away from me. So it's not easy.
Well,
but,
it's not.
Go ahead.
It's not easy for somebody without Parkinson's to write a book. I should know, but with somebody with Parkinson's, that is a dream. That is awesome.
Well, thank you. Actually, I love what I was so free to do in this book. It's the first time I wrote a memoir, and but it's free in the sense that I move from idea to idea, and image to image, and style to style, and so Parkinson's Blues, it's blue, all right. It's sad, but it's also an opportunity that I took to really write about it.
Do you hope to go out and write some autographs someday?
Well, if we ever get off COVID, get out of the our sickness, I might. Last week I had a reading with Zoom, and there were 120 people or so there, and then they were from all over the country. And in a way, I'll never have such at a podium in a real three-dimensional space. I'll never have friends from Kansas or from Chicago or from Seattle being able to be together and listen to my reading and ask questions.
Now, do you think that this will help other people in your position?
I hope so, but not because I know anything about Parkinson's, not because I'm a doctor. I'm not, but because I see how to accept and how to live with it, and I think that might be helpful.
That would be good.
Well, John, you have been a tremendous guest today.
Yes.
I appreciate you making time for us today, and thanks for coming on and chatting with me and Jay, because you are you're a great author and a great speaker and everything else. Thanks for coming on, John.
Very
Thank
inspirational.
You very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, John.
Parkinson's Blues.
Yes, it is a tremendous book. Check out Parkinson's Blues. Of course, johnjclayton.com is the official website. That's johnjclayton.com, and you can buy the book over there as well as some of his other short stories and other books. And, John, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. There he goes, John J. Clayton. And we are going to get our next guest in here who is fired up, So we should see. We will see what
Who's
happens
not
here.
Fired up. Here?
Well, we're gonna have some. I'll tell you that this show is so strange, and this is another one of those so strange days. But we are gonna get to our next guest here on our big broadcast.